Well, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Tackle Shop Live. Lane the Fisherman. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, Patrick Gingrey in the house. Carlisle, how are you, buddy? Mr. Benninger's here. How you doing? Bob Graham, what's up, buddy? North Carolina, yeah. Well, you got cold weather down there, too, so. Yeah, it's cold everywhere. East Stacks, what's up? Robert Murray, how are you, buddy? We're all over winter, Robert. We're all over it. We can't stand it. Chopey, what's up, man? How you doing? Gilbert 151's here. How you doing? Jay Sandberg, what's happening, buddy? Tim H, how are you, buddy? Conway, good to see you, buddy. Absolutely. Susky Bass is here. Galen Heathcote, how are you, pal? Bobby Donahue. And we got everybody here today. Little Rich is here. Michael Bradley. Yeah, man. Lisa Lake. Mark, how are you, buddy? Joseph Cascarino, Mike Payer. Man, everybody's here. Amy Lynn Brown. How you doing? Make sure you get a hold of me for your Nomad gift certificate. Joshua Weinberg, how you doing, buddy? Al Armin's here. Man, we got everybody. Johnny Kopp, yeah, baby. Big Mike's in the house. Shane McNaughton. Jeff McCormick. Wow, man. That is awesome. Everybody's here. Ariel, how you doing? Mark in Mechanicsburg. That's right, Mark. Good to see you, buddy, the other day. Jeff Santangelo, Alan Lauer, man, Ed Renoski's here, Danny Powell, Mike Barr. Mike Barr is always here. Good to see you, Mike. Yeah, Grimy Fishing in the house, RP Custom Lures. Wow, everybody's here. Man, we got a huge show for you tonight, and we are so glad to see everybody stopping in and checking out another edition of Tackle Shop Live, where we come at you every Thursday night, talking fishing, talking technique, talking tackle, all that kind of good stuff, which we love to do more than anything. And we enjoy having you guys stopping in and checking us out. So if you could do us a favor and like and share the episode so your buddies can come in and watch. Let's get a big show tonight. If everybody does that, we'll break records, and that's what we're shooting for, some record-breaking shows. So, but we appreciate everybody here very much. I'm Mike Acord, for you guys that don't know. This is George Acord. Behind the camera is cameraman Nick, and we are so happy to have you guys here. Hey, Nick, we're on the verge of another great big show here at the shop.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, this Saturday is Smallmouth Saturday, one of our favorite events of the year, where we just can concentrate on the bronze back. That's right. Talking smallmouth, everything to do with smallmouth, boats, tackle, techniques. We got some great seminars for you guys lined up. Of course, our own George Acord is going to be doing a great seminar for us. George has some phenomenal seminar information. He does a great seminar, and it's a lot of fun. But you're going to learn something. You're going to learn something from it, for sure. And so we have him doing one. We've got we got Epic Eric coming. Eric Glassow is coming to the event. Eric's been a great friend and a great colleague to work with over the years. And I finally got him where he wasn't traveling somewhere to a tournament or something, to come in and do a cool event seminar for us. And he's a back of the boat fisherman, so he's all about figuring something out different than what most guys are doing, because he's fishing behind guys in front of him. So he's been a back of the boat guy for a long time, so he picked up a lot of really cool, tricky techniques and tricky baits and tricky just tricky stuff, you know. And so his seminar is all about some tricky techniques to catch smallmouth. That's going to be really exciting. And coming down from Lake Erie again, our favorite buddy from up that way, Destin DeMarion, will be here. And Destin is a Lake Erie hammer. You know, he's a guide up there. He guides, I don't know how many days. He's always guiding up there. He just does a lot of guiding. And what was cool is a lot of our customers, Nick, last time he was here, booked a trip with him and went up there and fished with him. And they had an absolute ball with him.
You know, I went with him one time. I took my son with, and it's something amazing. We're up there and there must have been 20 to 25 boats around us. We're the only ones catching them left and right.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's something when you're dialed, you're dialed.
Yeah.
And he's dialed.
Oh, he's dialed for sure. That's his home water, and he'll put you on him. But he'll talk about catching smallmouth in the lakes, some of the things that he does, some of the techniques and the tools that he uses to do that. So that's going to be interesting to do that. And last but not least is our friend and foe, Corbin Gottwalt. And Corbin, I'm telling you, man, Corbin does a phenomenal seminar. Corbin's that guy who thinks outside the box. And I've always said this about him. And that's always why I love fishing with him, is because he does things and he thinks differently than anybody I've ever fished with. And it pays off in a big way. And he pioneers a lot of these techniques that guys jump on because he's way ahead of the curve. So Corbin's going to be here. He's going to be talking about some really cool stuff, smallmouth fishing on the river, all his river techniques. He's a longtime guide on the Susquehanna River, so he really knows it well. He has a cabin on the Susquehanna River. So, I mean, the guy's on the water all the time. So that's going to be really cool to sit in on his seminar. The seminar schedule is online, sfttackle.com. You can go on there, click on the big banner where it says view more information. That'll take you to the seminar schedule, the parking or extra overflow parking. The bass bus is going to be running, so you'll be able to park off site and get a ride back and forth. And that thing just constantly runs, so you're not going to be waiting long at all. Couple 10 minutes at the most. So we have that going for you, and we have some on-site food. We got a barbecue joint coming. They're going to set up a trailer out here. They're going to be doing the barbecue for us again. Last year we had them and they were great, and they make a great barbecue. So we're going to feed you. You know, you can feed, you know, you can eat here, you can stay here, you don't have to go anywhere. You can listen to all the seminars all day long, and it's going to be a great day. It's one I look forward to the most because I really enjoy that smallmouth category that we all love so much. So there you go. You know, we're all dealing with this cold. We're all dealing with, you know, this cabin fever that's pent up, and there's no better time to get rid of it than coming to our show here on Saturday. And you can hang out and talk fishing. And at least if you can't go fishing, you might as well come and talk fishing.
Well, and not only that, Mike, you know, George is going to talk about this later, but the elites are on. It'll be on the screen here.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be watching that all day.
Oh, absolutely. We stream that all day long. We streamed it all day long here in the shop today. And, you know, we love watching those tournaments, the especially Elite Series kicking off, and seeing those guys deal with the cold, deal with the mental aspect of it. You know, we talked about last week, you know, where cold gets, if you let yourself get cold, it screws up your mental thought, you know. So it was cool to see how those guys were handling it and some of the neat things they were doing to deal with the cold weather. All right. Well, let's get this show going, Nick. What do you think, buddy?
I'm ready. I'm always ready.
Oh, we're always ready for this, ain't we? Well, we're a tackle shop, and we love talking about tackle. And this is our favorite segment of the show, and we call this Tackle Talk. Right on, man. I tell you, we're still getting all kinds of tackle in here, you know, delivery after delivery after delivery, and stuff from iCast is still rolling in, and the new stuff's always rolling in here. George, what do you got for us today, buddy?
I kept it short and sweet today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I didn't have my normal prep time for this show, so I decided to go with some stuff that's scattered. I mean, I'm all over the place.
Yeah, well, nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
Yeah. long as you're talking about tackle, we're all happy.
Yeah, I mean, we got a few new things to talk about. We have some more fuzzy baits for you. You know, we finally got in after many months of waiting the fuzzy Senkos.
Nice.
And, you know, let's give credit where credit's due. The undisputable worldwide leader in stick baits, stick worms, is the Senko.
Absolutely. Hands down.
It's the one by which all others are judged for a good reason.
Yep.
I mean, if there's been one word written about fishing Senkos, there's been 50 million words written about fishing Senkos. I mean, obviously, it's probably.
You know anybody doesn't have one in their box?
There's a few guys, yeah.
You think?
Yeah. They're usually, you don't see them because they're already home from the weigh-in before you get off the stage.
I don't think I've ever met
they're
anybody.
wet tracking.
I don't think I've ever met anybody that doesn't have Senkos.
Oh, I absolutely have. And to George's point, they're so hard-headed because they don't want to throw it that even on the days where it's the only thing to throw, they'd rather just not catch anything.
Are you serious?
And I'm like, whatever. Oh, yeah, it happens.
Really?
Absolutely.
Oh, I don't think I've ever met anybody that doesn't throw Senko.
But what I asked you guys this before. If there's somebody that's new that's coming into the shop and wants to catch a fish, what's probably the number one thing you're going to point them to?
We go right to them all the time, constantly. I mean, we get a lot of new fishermen in the shop here that really are just busting into it. And that is such a great bait to go to because it's easy to fish and it catches the hell out of them.
Yeah.
And now they have this new twist on it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, they're jumping on the bandwagon. I mean, Yamamoto, is owned by a company that has endless pockets. So we get the innovation coming out of that shop for the last 3 or 4 years.
Crazy.
Can't keep up with it. And it's some beautiful, awesome baits that we have just added to our arsenal. But, you know, what's unique about the fuzzy Senko, obviously, it takes the proven Senko and it adds the strands of silicone skirting, color options. Now they did keep it, centered to the primetime colors. Of course, that was green pumpkin. Of course, you got to have something for that clear water, and their natural shad color is a long time standing favorite. But look at that gold fleck in that skirting to match that gold fleck in that worm.
Yeah, that's an awesome color too.
Clear water.
Yeah,
right.
That thing's bad to the bone.
Yeah, good stuff.
305. No. Dang it.
So close.
Dang it.
So close. 306.
306. Ah, dang it. 305 is baby bass. That's right.
There you go.
306 is the natural shad.
There you go. So to show you some more colors, I also want to show you their fuzzy nugget. The dice bait has landed. I mean, last year was the year of the dice bait. This year is going to be the year of the dice bait again. And of course, Yamamoto, they got to get in there because it's just premium bait. But I like how they do a green pumpkin and then they put half the strands in chartreuse. I like that. They did the Senko in 4 and 5 inch. And I want to say it's like, I don't know, maybe 8 colors max. I didn't really count them. They're $9.99 a pack, no matter if you buy the nugget. Here's color 926, which is a killer Senko color. Amber and green pumpkin laminate. Look at that copper in that skirt.
Wow.
Dark day.
Yeah. Good stuff right there.
Good stuff. The nuggets are a 6-pack. The Senko 4-inch is a 4 count, and the 5-inch is a 5 count. So I mean that's pretty easy to remember.
Hey George, are the nuggets the Senko material, or are they a different type of?
Yeah. Yep. So it's essentially a nugget of Senko.
That's great.
Nugget of Senko.
Now look at that one: green pumpkin and an orange.
Nice.
More of an amber killer. They do all these colors are done in both the nuggets and the Senkos. There's black and blue. But what I want to talk about with you guys, since we're on the topic here of Senko, and I mean you can't leave the dock without Senko, because there's a time. There's moments throughout the day that call for a wacky rig. There's moments throughout the day that call for a Texas rig. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but if it's springtime and what we like to call spawn season, which for us is probably 3 months, 2.5, 3 months,
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have a Texas rigged Senko with an 1/8 ounce bullet weight on the front deck of my boat on 15 fluorocarbon on a medium heavy rod that whole time, especially when I'm fishing grass, because I'm going through that grass multiple ways.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trapping, chucking the old chatterbait. That's the bread and butter. That's the bread and butter search bait. If I had to I can't pick one, so I'm going to pick those two. But, you're going to get into some areas where you can actually feel those fish, miss that bait. It's almost like they're pushing it. It's just like a half-hearted swat. And you're going to get that. And those fish, especially during that spawn season, they're very likely on or around beds. And on big grass flats like that, they tend to colonize an area. Not as tight as a bluegill bedding situation.
Right.
But, it can be a big, and it's usually a hard spot. It's usually shells, right?
Yeah.
Or sand.
Yeah. Sand's big. Yeah.
Or some pea gravel.
Yeah.
In these grassy areas. And, I'm paying very close attention.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pick that Senko up, and I'm going to throw it in there. Okay. Well, the reality is there's also portions of every day where, there's just not much of a reaction bite. And, you can just burn miles and miles of water for your bites, or you can get into an area that is holding a concentration of fish, and you can go to finesse techniques. And what I like about this bait, keep in mind, have never fished it. It's only been in the shop for 24 hours. But fishing other brands, the Z-Man, Fuzzy TRD.
Yeah.
What I'm liking about this bait is I'm going to go very, very finesse. So this is either going to be wacky or Texas, but it's going to be weightless. I want this bait to fall really slow. I want all these tentacles wiggling and shaking. And when it gets on the bottom, I want to tension it up and just shake it. And that's for fish that are looking at a bait, and in my mind's eye, I can see them looking at it.
Yeah.
And they're not reacting well. I'm busting this weaponry out.
And George, I'm glad you said that, because I believe that's what they're trying to do there. We already know the action of a Senko.
Mm-hmm.
It's that natural little wiggle it's got. And now you're adding that into it. The more finesse you go, the better opportunity you're going to trick some of them fish into wanting to bite that bait.
Yeah, especially when they're tough. Especially when they're tough. We're finding with the fuzzy stuff, now that we have some time on it, we're finding that these trickier times, these pressured fish, these trickier times of the year is when the fuzzy stuff is really catching them. We talked to some people that fished last fall when the water was really super low out in the river, and there was a big kayak championship out there, and the guy who won it on a fuzzy bait, fishing around a bunch of guys. So, I don't know if he was fishing a bunch of different baits, and then nothing was going his way, and he switched up to one of these fuzzy baits, and bam, bam, bam. Next thing you know, he's at 97 inches, with these things. So, that's the kind of thing that these baits are going to do. They're going to trigger that fish to bite when nothing else is really working, and that's what's really cool about them.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I fish with people that are finesse guys. That's what they do. They fish finesse. They're drop shotters, they're shaky wormers, and they're wacky riggers, and they're Nico riggers. And they're always looking for the next finesse thing. And that's just what they do. And that's cool. Everybody has their own fishing style, right? We talk about power fishing.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about shallow fishing. We got the scopers. I mean, everybody's got their own group, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many opportunities to have your finesse game dialed in. Now, I don't know if you guys realize this, but I'm no stranger to finesse myself. I'm a winder at heart, and 15-pound test would be my ultralight rig. But I always have my spinning rods tied up, and I do throughout every day rely on finesse. And I think if you're like totally, a one-track fisherman and that's your gig, and you're just I'm gonna make this work by looking for that's cool. But if you like to broaden your horizons, I think it's important to pay attention to the latest trends. I think it's important to get dialed in on your finesse game. If you're a backseat guy and you're a club fisherman, or you're a team tournament guy, and you fish, with a buddy who is the boater, or if you fish draw tournaments, if you're a BFL guy or whatever, federation, there's situations, and I'm thinking back on like the tournaments that I've fished where I've had co-anglers just obliterate me. I'm talking just terrible. And most of the time it was finesse that got it, that ended the day. So, if you're an astute angler and you pay attention to these things, like I can remember being in on like the learning curve on the front end of drop shot fishing. We had Don Iovino come out to the shop many, many years ago and teach us how to drop shot fish. And then we just went out and added that to it was the greatest. I mean, that whole year was like drop shot year, and, on and on and on. And here lately, we've been trying to get our finesse game dialed in. We've been becoming very good at Nico rigging and adding, these kind of baits to our repertoire. So check them out. Yamamoto Fuzzy Senko. Now, I do want to show you that nugget again.
Somebody said it looks like a root beer barrel, and that does.
Yeah.
That was a great call on that.
I do want to show you this again because, there's so many. I mean, we have tumbleweeds. We have, the G-Crack.
Quickie.
No, we have the Koike, we have the G-Crack, we have the Yamamoto Uni, we have all the Z-Mans. But, what I think a lot of people are missing with these, okay, they're fantastic on a drop shot. And they're fantastic weighted and slow on a slow sink. We talked about putting them on a jig head or a modified Geeka rig to get them down quicker. But what's not being talked about by very many people, and we're not going to name names, is fishing these on forward facing and using them to trigger bites that when the fish come up on them, aggressively twitching them.
Reaction bite.
Yeah, almost like a jerk bait. And when
pulling them away from the fish.
and twitch,
Yeah.
twitch.
Yeah.
And you know what's happening with the reason you see all these people fishing quickies, they're very well suited for that. And other people have confidence with various style of dice baits.
Mhm.
That's kind of like an unspoken deal. You know, hooking these, if you will, wacky style, or just nose hooking them, if you want to call it that, and putting a nail weight in them and forward facing with them, and then pulling them away from fish that are missing all your minnow baits, that are just coming up and trailing them and just turning off. This is a deadly category. I mean, admittedly, it's led by the Koike, but these are also, you have your following here. So drop shot, weightless, shallow water, modified like Geica rig, jig head type, swinging weight rig. I mean, there's so many ways to rig them, but as a forward facing, like aggressive bait also.
And with that, guys, if you're going to use that forward facing, whether you weight it or not, what, because I had this question during pre-tackle shot live, what would be your hook of choice with that?
Well, you have to weight them.
Yeah, you got to weight them for this.
Unless you're fishing in like 3 feet of water, 4 feet of water, those smaller dice bait have to be weighted.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier on the hook, and they're you know, the guys who we were talking to, you know, they have their own hook that they use.
I have my favorite,
but even looking at it the way and listening to what those guys were saying, I was thinking the Gamakatsu finesse wide gap would be a really good hook for that. You know, it has a good gap on it. It's a short shank. You can rig it properly and still have a lot of point there to dig into the fish. And that's what I think where I'm going with it myself.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time last year dice, nugget, nut fishing. And I fished a lot of hooks. I mean, I fished everything from a straight shank Nico hook, like a number 1.0 on the bigger ones. But what I really settled in on is the old school Gamakatsu drop shot / split shot hook. Now, whether you go with a Gamakatsu or your favorite brand or one of the other Gamakatsu drop shot hooks, 1.0 and 2.0 sizing, you do need a bigger gap.
Yeah,
these are
no
chunky.
doubt.
And you want to get a little bit of a bite on them, so you don't, like the plastic ones, you don't want them tearing out on you. And I've had good success with that hook, but the reason I say your favorite hook, that's my favorite hook. I absolutely love that hook for drop shotting. Be it the different sizes, and I've always had a tendency to size up. You know, I've always fished like 1s and 1.0s, no matter what I'm drop shotting. And I just have tremendous confidence in that hook. That hook's in you know, both of our boats. That hook's in there in a supply, because that's our confidence hook. Now on the bigger dice style baits, the bigger diameter baits, I do like the Nico style hook, the straight shank Nico style hook. Just a little more gap there. That's just what I'm doing. Now, you know what? Always learning, always be learning. I might change hooks this year. I don't know. There's so many in that category. I mean, just what we carry from like 7 or 8 manufacturers. There's an endless selection of phenomenal hooks.
Not only that, but it's a new technique for us. You know, it's relatively new for a lot of people. So we all got to kind of learn through it. You know, everything from, you know, the how much weight do you use for certain situations? What kind of weight do you like? You know, whose nail weight works better than the other one, and then rigging it with the hook. But that forward facing thing, I heard it from 2 different people from 2 different times, and it was almost the same exact story in tournament situations, how these guys absolutely wrecked them on these things when the bite was weird. The fish were coming up and they were shying off the minnow baits. They put these things out there and they said every time you threw one out there, you caught the fish every single time.
And when you hear that multiple times, that's not by accident.
Yeah, and these were guys that were tournament fishing super hard. These guys are, that's what they do. They tournament fish, and they travel all over the country. But they did say that it's smallmouth, absolutely eat it. Spotted bass, absolutely, crush this thing. So it's interesting. It got me fired up. I mean, I was grabbing baits and hooks and stuff, and I'm like, I'm going to figure this out. But we had fun fishing them, all the different ones. And I think as we go through time, we're all going to learn more, from drop shot and from, the different rigs that guys are using in different times. I'm interested about the spawn, how they're going to work during the spawn, especially the Senko version, how that's going to work. Yeah, exciting.
Yeah, so that just hit the street. They're in stock, ready to go. We do have a little glitch on our website. We're not showing the 5-inch. Hopefully that gets resolved in the next couple of days. If you got to have them, before then, call us. We'll ship them right out. If not, check back. The 4-inch are up. The 5-inch are up. They're just not showing up. So one of them nice techno problems that we have, but we will work through that. So let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum with our next item. Let's just go to something that's big and requires big gear. We got some new colors in the clutch product line, which we are big clutch guys. So here, I'm not going to take them out of the package because they're expensive baits, but here is the new money color. And when I say new, fairly new, like, within the last year. Money. And that is money. Look at that. That is a shad-looking son of a gun if I ever saw it. Of course, this is the darter, which is extremely versatile glide bait from Clutch, famous for its success rate on herring lakes, but don't sleep on this thing everywhere you go. I mean, smallmouth and largemouth everywhere eat this bait. It's choppy. It glides real well. It's easy to fish. You literally
pull it.
It's harder to open up.
Yeah, there you go.
It's harder to open the package than it is to fish. This one here is called Morning Dawn. Look at that.
Got a little Morning Dawn strip in there. Pretty cool looking.
And that's also available in the darter. And they're in stock. And then in the probably the most popular clutch bait that we sell here, well, the second most popular, the OG. It's just the OG. And of course, this is a gizzard shad profile, which, just works everywhere also. And this color is called Silver Gizzard. So, it gives you the best of your bone. It gives you the best of that two-tone shad look. I love the black eyes. We always talk about the shad spot on...
Move your finger so they can see it.
We always talk about the shad spot.
Yeah.
I love how they do that with the eye.
Yeah. It's like a sexy shad color, Nick. We like our sexy shad color, don't we, buddy?
Yeah, actually, when George was saying that color, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like, that line and everything, that looks good.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'm liking that Morning Dawn color.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
That is.
Yeah, well, we're not too far away from a couple of hardcore swim bait trips. First thing we need to have happen is we need the ice to go away. Now, once the ice goes away, It's on.
Number one, get some open water.
That's all you need. When the ice goes away, it's on. You know, we could use about a couple, 3-4 days of nice spring-like weather to put a little warm on the water temp, and then the big girls come shallow.
Yeah.
And you know, it's on. We're gonna go and do a whole day going live, fishing all kinds of glide baits and swim baits, and just can't wait. We're gonna do that in the spring here. And you know, this depressing frozen tundra that we live in is really putting that on.
Can't wait till it's all going.
It's putting that on point for us. So that trip's coming up. You know, the way things are looking right now, of course, it's probably going to be in April.
It's not looking good.
But we're going to load up. We're going to load up all the swim bait boxes, all the swim bait rods, and we're going to go hit the water, fire up the cameras, and put a day in.
Hey, Nick.
And see what happens.
What we asked for when we first started the show, he said, "Hey, man, like and share, and let's get this show going and cranking to be one of our biggest." Well, we just hit one of our biggest numbers on our show. So thank you guys. You guys pulled it through, and you did it. You pulled it off. So this is our one of our biggest shows ever. So thank you everybody for stopping in and checking us out and sharing and liking and inviting all your friends into the.
You better focus now, boys. You better tighten it up.
Well, this is where it's at.
All right, let's have a little huddle up here, a little break, everybody just take 5, talk amongst yourselves. We need to get our shit together here now. We got a huge crowd online.
We got a huge crowd. We got to
let's just focus. Tighten it up. Tighten it up.
Hey, you guys were talking about ice on the water. I'm thinking about buying one of them ships that they have up there and
oh yeah,
we could blast right through it.
And isn't that awesome watching those fish go, or those ships open up Lake Erie and all that stuff. I mean, they're busting through some serious ice. And these tankers are all tied up out there, locked into these big ice areas, and they can't get out. And these icebreakers go out and they run all around them. Well, this one icebreaker went out there to open this thing up for this ship, and he couldn't get through. I turned around and go back.
Oh wow,
that's how bad it was.
Lightweight.
Yeah, lightweight. Yeah, he had to go back and get more metal.
He brought the little icebreaker.
He thought he could get out there with a little boat.
He brought the little icebreaker.
Amazing.
Probably the Coast Guard.
It's been a long time since I've seen everything locked up like this. You know, all the creeks, are all locked up. The river's all locked up. It's crazy. It's the whole way, the whole river, all the way down to the bay. It's just.
Well, on the flip side, now we do have a little more ice than, usual, but this happens.
Oh yeah.
Fairly often. But my thing that I find fascinating, and I'm just going to call this nature, is how quick that ice goes away. I mean, it literally boggles my mind.
It is pretty.
I remember the last time that the Chesapeake froze like this. The whole upper end of the Chesapeake was 95% ice covered. They were the Coast Guard was running their icebreaker through the C&D Canal down to Patapsco River to keep shipping traffic open from the Delaware to the Baltimore Harbor. And they were just back and forth, keeping it open. And I kid you not, not even a week later, I'm not going to say you could launch your boat because the little cove bait places where we launched were still frozen, but everything else was open.
Yeah, it is amazing how fast
everything else was open. And the other thing that I would like to relate is with rivers, like our river, that ice goes away if you're lucky enough to get normal weather. Normal meaning not some kind of monsoon rain with, a freakish warming cycle.
We don't want another 1996.
Yeah, if you're just lucky enough to get your average weather, like we often do, that ice, you'll look at that river and you'll just be depressed. You're like McNulty on the tracks drinking J-Mo at night, throwing your bottles in the weeds. You're just so depressed. But it just goes away. I mean, in like a couple days.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. So that's coming, people. So get your stuff fixed up. Now, one of the things you're going to need to fix up is your spinner baits.
Oh,
Okay, I know your spinner baits, and I'm talking to you. I'm talking to Mike Sims. I know his spinner baits are dirty. I've seen his boat. Everything he's got is like one step away from disaster. So what you got to do is
that's harsh.
It's true. It's true. What you got to do is you have to, you know, like this weekend, the weather is going to be just absolutely, it's going to suck. Nobody in their right mind is going to watch Bad Bunny at halftime. Not one person on here. And if you are on here and you plan on watching Bad Bunny, please switch over to Bass After Dark. I mean, Brian the Carpenter is definitely watching Bad Bunny, and, you know, you can jump on his show. I'm just telling you, that's how it's going down.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So,
you know.
what are you going to do at halftime? Well, I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to up your game. And when I say up your game, you're going to fix your spinner baits, okay? Now, I'd like to sell you a bunch of new spinner baits, and we'll be glad to, because you always need more. But you got good spinner baits, okay? They just have the gold's worn off the blades, the silver's worn off the blades. You know, they might not have been the best blades to begin with. The skirts are dinged up. Well, right here, baby. Let's just look at this right here. Let's look at the willows. So here's your, now these are Hildebrandt. They got their own sizes. They don't make nice and follow the guidelines. So we got 3.5, 4, and 4.5 Hildebrandt numbers. Everybody else in the industry, it would be like 4, 4.5, and 5.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, you know what? We make the best blades. We're going to use our own numbers.
Yeah.
24-karat gold-plated blades, polished nickel-plated blades. But what I like about them, besides that finish, is they add more vibration and flash to your spinnerbait. Flash, obvious, because of what we just talked about. But the vibration, because the blanks that these are made on are heavier. So you're getting a heavier stamped blank, primo finish.
Yeah.
You got your willows. You got your Colorados. You know, now they're Colorados. They fly by their own. A 3.5 and a 4, which would be a 2 and a 3 by anybody else. And then, of course, the most overlooked blade in spinnerbait fishing, especially in the spring, the Indiana.
Yeah.
Number one most underutilized springtime blade.
God, I love that.
If you know, you know. Now, this is a 4.5. This is like almost a 7 in everybody else's world. So be advised, be very cautious on the sizing. There's really no any good charts or data out there. Feel free to call and ask questions. Update fix your blades, fix your spinner baits, get yourself a pair of Texas tackle pliers that work those split rings real good. Buy a couple packs of number 3 split rings. 2s are too small. Buy a couple packs of good double split ring ball bearings. Get the Spros, get the VMCs, get your stuff together and update, fix, repair.
Yeah, very important.
And then you're ready to roll.
Don't you hate that when you go in for like you're like thinking about this spinnerbait and you're like, oh, gotta get that spinnerbait out, and then this thing is all water blotched up and half, you know, rusted, you know, and you're like, man, what happened to my blade? You know, it just kills you.
Every year I tell myself never again.
Yeah.
Every year I'm back to telling myself never again.
Well, I'll tell you something I do, guys. I carry a box with blades. Now, trick on that, don't let the blades just loosen the box. All the trailering and boat running.
Yeah.
Those blades, you don't realize how many years they're in there. And they get destroyed in the box. So I keep them in a bag in the box. And I keep some swivels. I keep some split rings, of course, for other things.
Yeah.
Always have my Texas tackle pliers. And here's something else. If you're a serious spinnerbait fisherman, here's 2 other things you should carry in your boat. And I'm betting very few people carry one of these 2 things. You need a side cutter because, like you're going to have to cut the back of that blade off. It's not going to, it'll straighten out a little bit, but you're going to probably have to cut a little bit of that hoop. The other thing is round nose pliers. So a round nose plier is how you make that nice bend. You grab that wire, and that round nose gives you that nice loop.
Yeah, that
closed.
That's a big deal.
What I like to do is I like to go past, and then I'll back the loop up so that it's tight against that arm. So I'm actually making it a little smaller than it should be. But you need that.
You know, the other thing you need to do, Nick, you need to inspect your skirts because otherwise you're going to be tossing confetti in the air. Did you ever do that?
No, but I did. I was up at Racetown one time. This guy was tying his own jigs, right? So he's back there and he's like, yeah, I'm going to try one of these jigs I tied up. And he goes to cast it. When he went to cast it, it was like this poof.
Yeah.
Right. And he goes, what was that? I said, well, did you tie a knot? Oh, I didn't know that. All his jigs were that way.
Oh, no.
So, yeah. So later that day, I said, well, we'll just put some glue just for now.
Yeah.
And that worked. But yeah, when he went to cast, it just went.
Well, if you have old spinner baits and old jigs for that matter, and this goes along with the time of the year right now is the time to look at this stuff. They dry rot over time. And that little rubber ring will dry rot. And then you'll go to cast and it just like you did, there's confetti in the air, man, that just, or you'll go to pull it out of your box and it just falls apart. So, that's something you can look at and you can fix that up. Now, well, something cool that George does is he gets the real micro size zip tie, like a real micro real skinny, smallest one you can get. And he'll go through his box and he'll
zip tie them.
He zip ties them on there, so that he doesn't have to change them out. He sees they're starting to go funky. He zip ties it, puts that little zip tie right on there, man. And we've got like a half a box full of zip tied ones that'll work. But
I do that on my jigs and my buzz baits and my spinner baits.
Anything that's old is going to explode on you. It's going to happen if you don't look at your stuff now when you're at home. When you have the time to look at it, it's going to be confetti all over your boat.
You know what's funny about that though? You get a spinner bait, depending on what colors you got. Like I love that color that George has in his hand right now, but some colors are very, very bright. And by the time they get to that old and almost kind of like faded, you're catching a lot of fish on them.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're like, oh, I don't want to change it.
Yeah, exactly.
Find the same stuff. Oh yeah,
that's smart, and that was smart of him to come up with that little deal. And that goes back now. You start looking at jigs that are hand tied, and how great that is because you don't ever have that problem. If they're hand tied jigs from the manufacturer, some of them put wire on them, some of them, to tie them somehow. That now you look at that, you go, oh, okay, yeah, now I see the deal with that. That'll be there for forever. But there's a lot of us that have, a jig that's rubber has the rubber on there, man, and you're screwed. I'm telling you. It's funny how they all happen all at once too. Pull one out and you pull another one out, and it's like all this stuff all over your boat. It's like, oh my gosh.
Now I'm going to give you another tip on these spinner baits. When you're working on your spinnerbait box during halftime, and you may or may not have had a couple of cervezas. This blade right here has to go on facing that way. So the convex surface, as opposed to the concave surface, the outside surface has to face the line tie, or else this blade will not spin. And I don't care if it's a Colorado. You'll notice the Colorado facing. Slide it right up and hit the wire. If it's on the other way, you're going to be so proud of your spinnerbait. You're going to have taken this off, put a new blade on there, put it back together, put a new blade on there, put a new skirt on, tied it or zip tied it. You're going to get out there this spring. You're going to make a cast with your new spinnerbait that you are beaming with both pride and confidence in.
Are you? This sounds like it's
your spinnerbait. Your front blade is going to go like this. It's going to look like a windshield wiper.
Sounds like he did this before, Nick.
Oh, I've done it.
So there you go. That's a good tip for you guys.
That is a self-taught.
That's a great tip. Yeah.
That's a self-taught tip right there.
Yeah.
That's self-taught tip.
Yeah.
I taught myself that tip.
Yep.
Well, not only did they get a great tip, we had some vocabulary words there too, but concave,
convex.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Guys, set us up here with the abbreviated version of getting into rig of the week here, because I have this spinnerbait in my hand and I have a badass rig of the week.
Rig of the week
that involves a spinnerbait. So, I mean, I'm talking like this is
okay. Yeah, well, here you go.
This changes everything.
Here you go. This is our rig of the week, brought to you by Nomad Designs. And Nomad Designs are makers of great jigs, hard baits, and plastic baits. And they sponsor the rig of the week, and we're giving out a $25 gift card to sfttackle.com or in the shop here at Susquehanna Fish and Tackle, all brought to you by Nomad Designs, and the sponsor of Rig of the Week. Yeah. Now, last week's winner, Nick. Last week's winner and the winner of the $25 gift card is bam, Evan Yelk.
Yeah.
Evan Yelk is the winner of the Nomad Susquehanna Fish and Tackle $25 gift card. And you can contact us, Evan, or next time we see you in the shop here, we'll hook you up with that.
Yeah. Evan Yelk is a hardcore
fisherman.
Who will appreciate the gift card.
Oh yeah, he will.
I mean, my man is dialed in. He doesn't have to fix his spinnerbaits and his jigs.
Yeah.
Because his stuff is standing at attention in the box right now.
Yep.
He doesn't have to go fix all his stuff. Like we got.
Oh yeah, he's a tackle junkie.
I mean, you should see in my garage the mess that is these two boats. I'm talking like there is at least 40 Plano boxes scattered about the front decks, the back decks, the cockpits. There's rods piled up facing in every direction. Like, remember that pickup sticks? It just looks like somebody just dumped them.
Yeah.
There is baits and hook. I mean, it's work. There is some work coming up.
You better get on that.
I know. It's hard to get motivated, and
especially out there in the cold,
Well, my garage is not heated, but it doesn't get super cold, but it gets cold enough.
It's cold, yeah. I don't care how you look at it. It's cold out there. So what you got to do, guys, is you got to like, share, follow, and then comment. Now, the way you do that is you do the @Nomad Designs in your comment, right? And is that how you do it?
Yep.
Every week.
Very quickly, you just like this post, share this post.
Yeah.
And in the comment section in this post, you're just going to tag Nomad Designs by doing the like or the @ symbol. And then you're just going to put NO, and it should pop up.
Right.
And you can select Nomad Design, and it'll just tag them in there. And we do that so they can see everybody tagging in there. That helps them. That helps the whole deal here. And that's why we do it.
Keeps us giving out $25.
They're getting their money's worth.
Yeah. We just talked to them 2 weeks ago, and they were tickled to death with it. So you guys keep doing what you're doing. We'll keep giving out the $25 gift cards.
The other cool part is it makes George keep having to come up with the rig of the week.
I got him.
Yeah.
There we go.
I got him. I get very little help from my co-hosts
Yeah.
on this topic.
Yeah.
And I mean, every now and again, we get a guest in here. I lean on them because it's hard doing this every week. But I got a good one here for you. So, we're talking a little bit here about Hildebrandt blades as part of our tackle talk segment. And, a lot of people are like, that's an insignificant thing to talk about. I don't think so. The difference between like a lot of bites and some bites. Why is my buddy always kicking my ass on a spinnerbait? So on and so forth. It's the little componentry issues of that bait that make a difference. Also, paying attention to your forage base and paying attention to your conditions. So, like, if I'm in a cloudy, overcast day, maybe I got a little dinge in the water. I want something that's got some flash. First of all, cloudy, overcast. I guess that's kind of redundant.
Yeah.
Dingy water, maybe, or poor visibility. I like gold. Low light. I like gold. I like all that gold. I like that gold wire. I like that gold head. I like that gold hook. Okay. Now on my personal spinner baits, I don't tie a ton of my skirts up. I will put zip ties on them, but there's times when I got to change the skirt. I want this frame, but I want a different color skirt. And I can snip that zip tie off, slide that skirt off, put a new skirt on the color I want. So I'm always modifying. I'm always tweaking, always, until I get dialed in. Spinnerbaits, when we do our spinnerbait show, you will see we will somehow find a way to talk for an hour on the spinnerbait, and we won't cover everything.
Yeah.
So I want that bigger profile. I want that thump. And, if there's a lot of like shad and minnows and stuff around and it's, decent clarity, I like a willow. But let's say that I'm fishing on an extremely clear body of water. Let's say I'm on my river here and it's summer low. Let's say I'm fishing our beloved Susquehanna Flats and I'm fishing the Potomac River, the massive grass beds on the Potomac River. And it's crystal clear water because that mature grass has filtered that water out like an aquarium. Mm-hmm. We actually have areas we call it the aquarium. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to downsize. So what I want to show you here is the difference in frame sizes. So this is your typical 3/8 or half. Here's a quarter. So I've got a much smaller frame. Okay. In that clear water, I want double willows. I want the flash. I want the illusion of bait fish. Okay. But I need to cast real far. And I need to do it on at least 15-pound line. So I have a 1/4 ounce spinnerbait, and I can cast it pretty far, but not far enough. I got to get away from the boat. These fish have been pounded on all summer. It's low water, it's clear water, it's late season, it's a tough bite. There's a little bit of wind rip on the surface that I need for my spinnerbait, but I need this small frame, but I need to launch it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the tip of the week. So what you're going to need is some of these guys. These are called rubber core sinkers. Twist-ons. Let's get one out. I'm going to get an 1/8 ounce out because I want to throw this freaking thing in the next week. So the twist-on sinker was made, to lay your line in the slot, grab your line, stretch, twist in opposite directions, wrapping the line around the rubber. Okay, I don't do that. But what I do is I put rubber core sinkers on the hook shank of my spinnerbait. And I end up with a hidden weight type of a scenario. So what I'm going to do here, let's get the steps down. First, you're going to have to open that up.
Yeah, and the problem nowadays is the lead isn't as good quality like it used to be years ago. So it takes a lot to open those things up.
Yeah, I like that old lead.
That old lead, you could almost take your fingers and open it up, and it would open. Now you need
side cutters.
Yeah.
Now I prefer a pair of side cutters.
Yeah, and I lost ours.
I have a great pair here at the shop that I use for events like this. Had them for like 30 years.
They're here somewhere. I don't know. I just don't know what I did with them.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this just as a wedge to open this. So take your time and just kind of put that in there like that. Open that up. You'll notice that's opened up. I'm going to do the other side here. Don't make a big production out of it. You can feel it opening. Now it's going to fit on this hook shank. Now, we don't have a lot of hook to work with here. This is a sprout bend hook. If it was a round bend, we'd have a little more hook to work with. But on the sprout bend, hold on, here we go. I need that rubber to stay in there. So I'm just going to put that back in place. And that's going to go like that. Now, what I like to do is cut these tabs off. But I want the rubber to stay in as my, I don't know what you call that. So I'm just going to take my scissors. If you get your boat set up right, you got 6 or 7 pairs of scissors laying around. Take my scissors here and just kind of cut that off. Be careful not to pull that rubber out. Cut that off. Okay, let me show you that now. Simple stuff here. Take my spinnerbait. This is a 1/4 ounce War Eagle spot remover. It's a bad boy right here. I'm going to put that on there. Now, you got to take your time. You got to kind of mash that down on there because you want that rubber in there because it'll help keep it tighter. And then you want it, your needle nose. You want to take your time there, kind of mash that down as you're squeezing it. Mash it and squeeze it. And that ain't going anywhere, people. Now that spinnerbait is now 3/8 of an ounce. And I can chunk it way further. I still have that small frame. If I want to fish close range and I want a 1/4 ounce bait that I can float like above the grass at high tide, I can pop that right off. It's no problem. I got a whole bag of these. They cost $2.50. I can reuse them. If I don't reuse it, okay, I'll buy another one.
One thing you got to make sure you do, though, George, is make sure that when you smash it, that you smash it from the sides of the hook.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Like this, yeah. And it's important that you don't smash it this way.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
You want to smash it from the sides. You want to flatten it out because if you flatten it out, it'll make like a keel, and it'll keep that blade running straight. If you get it to where where you smash it the wrong way, it rolls over. This acts like a keel, and it's important to have that rubber in there because it holds it in there in place, and it'll go through that water real nice and straight. As when you smash that down nice. I like to really smash mine down and really flatten them out, make them real like a keel.
That right there is a deadly modification.
Yeah.
You get on those big clear water flats, that are like aquariums. You get a little wind blowing to disturb that surface. Now, the other thing that does for you, not only does that allow you to cast that small profile a long ways, but it also allows you to rip it. You know, that those are situations where a very fast retrieve is usually best. And I know what some of you guys were thinking. You're thinking, well, I'll just go buy some hidden head weight baits with a small profile. Yeah, and you can. There's nothing. That's a great plan. I'm saying is, you know, you're going to have a lot of spinnerbaits. If you're a spinnerbait guy, you're going to have a lot. I mean, I'm telling you, if you ever saw me and Mike's jet boat, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Well, a lot of your hidden heads that are that size, George, the blades are still a little bit bigger.
Right. I mean, you're still going to have to tweak them.
You got to modify them.
My point is, this is such an easy mod. So we got our box with our blades. We got our swivels. We got our split rings. We got our skirt box. We got our rubber core sinkers in different weights. We're good to go.
There you go.
I mean, we are good to go. You want to go someplace off the beaten path? You want to go someplace you've never been? I love to travel. We love to jump in the truck and go to a new body of water.
Yeah.
And just no research, no help, jump in and go. You know, you need versatility. This tip right here, I've been saving it.
Yeah. George, that's a great
awesome
rig of the week. And I can tell you, I've utilized that rig of the week. And like you said, you could go out and buy every spinnerbait you want. But for most of us, when you're in the middle of going fishing, you might not have brought every box. And if you have that box, like you're saying, it has your different riggings, it's a quick, I mean,
change things up quick.
2 minutes, you're good to go.
It doesn't take long. I mean, I'm modifying on a spinnerbait bite. I'm modifying spinnerbaits until I get that bite dialed in.
That was awesome.
Once that bite, that was shown to me by many years ago, and I'm sure he's not watching the show because he probably wouldn't even have had a log on. The great Freddie Greenewalt, the truck driver, a legend on the Susquehanna River, taught me that like 30 years ago.
Well, it was a long time ago.
And Mike and I have. You probably can't even look around our boat that there's not them sinkers just laying everywhere. They're just stuck in the crevices and the corners of the hatches and everywhere.
Plus, there's a bunch of baits made up with them, you know. So when that situation comes, you know,
I love it.
Yeah. I take a 1/4 ounce double willow or Colorado willow. When you get into a tough bite like that, sometimes even though the double willow is what I recommend, sometimes I'll even do better with a Colorado willow. And I like a white head or a pearly white head, and I like a green glimmer skirt. And if I can't find what I want, I get the skirts and I change my spinnerbaits. And I put that weight on there. And I've been on those giant grass flats where those tidal water fish are eating stuff I can't even identify. But it's little. Mm-hmm. When a bait's little, I downsize the spinnerbait. Mm-hmm. When I want to cast a long ways, I add that sinker to a small spinnerbait. I go and I actually, when it's low water clear and it's a good spinnerbait bite, I actually switch up to a 7.5 foot rod so I can throw it even farther.
Yeah, Casey, it runs real. If you squeeze it straight up and down and make like a keel out of it, runs straight as ever.
Runs great.
Runs perfectly level in the water for you, so it's all good.
So that's your tip of the week, Nomad. That's your Nomad
tip of the week.
Nomad tip of the week for this week.
Rig of the week, we call it.
Or rig of the week. I'm sorry. Yep. Yeah, what did I say?
Tip of the week.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay. Now I know that you watched that tournament with me today because we had it on like
everything, 2
phones, laptops, televisions.
Yeah.
I mean, we were watching the hell out of that tournament.
Yeah.
And it didn't really prove anything. It reinforced.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not a wintertime fisherman, if you haven't experienced that, if you haven't lived that life, and you look at launching your boat into a lake that every creek arm is frozen, and you're thinking, I mean, and rightfully so, because you don't have experience with it. Well, these guys, this is going to be terrible. Why would they have a tournament under these circumstances? Well, here's the answer. First place is Corey Johnston with 24.9.
Crazy.
Second place is Brian Smith, who's from California, by the way, and everywhere he goes, he catches 24.6. Third place is Brian Schmidt, who fishes for every saltwater and freshwater species known to mankind, and he was probably licking his chops for this one. He had his, I guarantee you, he had his Uruku shad out, guaranteed, and he was like, oh, pre-spawn, late winter, coming out of a cold front, hold my beer. 24.5. Matt Onum Robertson, 23.11. And then a Canadian, Evan Kung. So we got Canadians bracketing the top 5. He's got 23.6. But check this out, guys. I did some research. 20th place is 20 pounds, 2 ounces. And then I don't even know how many 19s there were.
Yeah.
Wesley Gore, Lunker, 8.1.
Yeah.
That's a Mountain Dew boat. So
Yeah.
you know what kind of scent he was using.
Yeah.
My point is that these are actually miserable conditions for the fishermen and pretty good conditions for fishing. If you know that late winter.
Yeah, for the people who weren't watching, though, I mean, we're talking. It was 30. I think they launched today, and it was 36.
Oh man, it was. I think it was colder than that.
I heard a lot of guys saying they were fishing 36 to 38 degree water temperature, and some of the guys by the end of the day had 42.
Yeah, I'm talking about the air temperature.
I'm talking about the water temperature.
Oh yeah.
So this is kind of like what we're talking about here: 36 degrees to 42. And they were crushing them like this. And the topic for tonight is what they call out of this fish on. I mean, a lot of them were caught on it. So,
well, if you see what's happening here, this is the perfect storm.
Yeah.
So it was colder. And then yesterday, a warm front came through and it started raining. Warm front, meaning it probably warmed up to like 50 in the afternoon and probably went down into the low 30s at night. But that is the perfect storm. What's going to happen here the next 2 to 3 days is the perfect storm for this scenario.
Yeah.
This is probably not going to be the best day of this tournament.
But what it did do, it told us what we already know. We take for granted these weights that you just said. But most people wouldn't even have went out today.
Oh, no.
And these guys, no matter what, are the best there is.
They are the best of the best.
And there's no excuses. They have no technology this week. They're grinding. They had the Mother Nature playing havoc on them. And yet the weights that always are there, they're showing up with the weights that are always there. And that just tells us how good these guys are.
Yeah.
I loved watching it because, near and dear to me and my style of fishing is the lipless crankbait. And these guys, it was a combination of the lipless crankbait, the bladed jig, which you might as well just call the chatterbait, and some sort of a jerkbait. I mean, that was the gist of the story. And my point to you guys is this. I don't care where you go.
No.
If you're not able to scope individual fish or pods on bait balls, you might could just say, oh, well, just go out there and just, Demiki rig. Okay, why don't you try it sometime? Here's what it feels like. You're on your boat. Okay, this dot right here represents you on your boat. Everything around that dot represents the little tiny piece of lake that you're in. Now imagine, with all your best side imaging and 2D, which is how it used to be done, by the way, you managed to find a school. And now you are old school, triangulating, lining up, maybe kicking a buoy, and tight lining a minnow down through them, because you really don't know how deep your minnow is. You think you know how deep your minnow is. So that's a difficult thing to do. Now, I didn't go a little farther down the list. I would have ran into a guy that did that. He actually won a classic doing that. Okay. He is the guy that kind of fired everybody up on a jig head minnow. And I mean, he's from as far north as you can get, where they can't fish in the winter because everything's frozen.
Yeah.
Right. So they call him the snow leopard. And he was tight lining. That's what he does. But it's a lot of side imaging. It's a lot of 2D. It's a lot of triangulating, and then like a grid system. And he had 20-something pounds still.
George, both of you guys, let me ask you something. Yeah, those of us that are watching this or listening to this right now, we're going, okay, it's that cold. The water temperature's cold. They're freezing, all that stuff. Why a rattle trap or a chatterbait, and why not a jerkbait?
Well, the jerkbait is being used.
It is being used.
The reason that the rattle trap, the jerkbait, and the lipless crankbait dominate this kind of fishing is you have to make the fish react. Okay, these fish are shallow. These fish are relating to grass, be it in or near or around. And there's no better way, period, to make these fish react than with a lipless, a
chatterbait,
a lot of red chatterbait, lipless, and a jerkbait. And this is probably the king. Now, if you've heard us talk about yo-yoing a trap, a lot of these guys are winding. They're not yo-yoing. And if they are yo-yoing, they're just implementing it into their retrieve.
That's funny because I think there's not a whole ton of yo-yoing going on. It's because of the depth.
Yeah, and the other thing is
they're only fishing in 4 to 7 feet of water. They're really shallow.
And you're trying to get this trap into the top of that grass, but you don't want to bog it because these fish aren't necessarily buried in the grass. They're in the tops of it. They're around it. They're on the edge of it. There's holes in the grass. A lot of side imaging work went into play here, and there's a lot of 360 being used. And voids in that grass. Now you're going to put your poles down so you're locked in place, and you're going to be able to pick that void apart, right? That might be 60 to 100 feet out in front of you. And being able to make those precision retrieves, there's nothing better, man. Now, I mean, what trap do you use? I mean, today you saw every trap going. I mean, you saw them all. It's a lot of it is a confidence thing. I am sure I would be willing to bet a paycheck that Brian Schmidt is throwing this trap right here. Now, he might not be throwing that color, but I'll bet you he is. Because he has tremendous confidence in this. This is an Aruku Shad 75.
Well, it's important to talk about color for this time of year. Because that was a big issue. That's a big issue for this time of year. They're throwing reds, they're throwing yellows, they're throwing oranges, and then they're mixing in, your golds, and then some of your shad baits. But the majority of the guys are throwing the crawfish kind of color patterned reds, yellows. If George wants to hold up a couple of those colors to kind of show some of the colors, that's that's like your red bait. And then you got the orange, the ones with a lot of orange on them. That's a key bait. And then there's some with the yellow. See that you can't really see it, George. You want me to hold it up? See how it has a lot of yellow on that side? That's different than a straight orange. There's a lot of differences in that. And this is what you throw in the spring. You throw a lot of this stuff in the springtime. All these different types of reds, and then you get into the golds. You get into your golds like this. But your majority of your stuff's going to be with this red stuff right here. And if you and listen, you can throw anything you want. You can throw anything you want, but I'm telling you that those baits right there will get you bit when it's in these conditions where it's super cold. The fish are just kind of getting out of this wintertime thing, and the ice is coming off, and they just had ice. There's ice all over the sides of that place, and the ice is coming off. That's when that works the best.
One of the things that was interesting, Mark Menendez did his own like little social media post, and all the dying bait fish that were around his boat, they were everywhere.
Oh yeah,
they're still kicking.
They were a little bit, but I mean, he's like, man, he said it's gonna, the fish have bait everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they sure do.
Yeah, that's just it's just hard to beat that. It's hard to beat that lipless bait.
So the big key is to come up with that color that's going to make that bait, that's going to trigger those strikes for the day, whether it's the yellow side, whether it's the bright orange, or whether it's some kind of red to go along with that. That's when you're gonna see that thing. That's how you really dial in. And then you dial your colors in, and then that's what'll work. But I've seen it. I've seen one orange or a red work over another orange or a red, all the time. So color is very, very important right now,
especially when you have that clear water. That clear water, man, it can see a long ways. You get that dirty water, I'm sure most people are avoiding it, but you get that dirty water, that vision goes away. Clear water is when that color really makes a difference.
A lot of times, you can't get away from dirty water, but there's a lot of times how many times you go looking for clean water, and when it's cold like this, Nick? I go looking for it. I'm looking for it. I'm trying to get away out of that dirty water and get into that clean water.
And these guys got miles of it, and it's clear.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. The other thing that I really like about wintertime trapping is sound. Not all traps sound the same. So I like to carry and like I don't go crazy with it. Like I'm a big Spro Uruku guy. I'm an old school rattle trap guy. And there's a distinct just between those two rattling type baits. And then I'm just talking about me. I really like the Jackal TN70. They're like different sound levels, but something that you really need to carry with you. And I've seen this. Mike's seen this. This is either the deal or it doesn't matter. The one knocker.
Yeah.
And it's funny, and I sit and I ponder this a lot. Like different bodies of water have different consistent sounds that seem to work well. When you get down into Florida, that one knocker just seems to be like above average good. And other places you fish, it almost doesn't matter. But then you'll have that day where it does matter. There's no right or wrong way of figuring that out. But I will tell you this: do not hesitate to experiment, you could be missing the boat.
Well, and I was just thinking about that. The pros are down there and they communicate. They're all talking. And I'm sure there's those little nuances that are doing better than others right now. And, I wonder what that is, because as you just, we just heard all those different sounds. That could be a difference.
Oh, it is a
Yeah,
difference.
you just don't know.
And I will say this.
Winding speed,
Yep,
which we
that
talked
changes
about.
it.
That's a big time thing. Dialing in where the fish are really setting up is the big thing too. Are they into thicker grass? Are they into more sparse grass? Are they way outside the grass? How you're retrieving over top, your line diameter, and how if you go real heavy with your line, you can slow down. Maybe.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of things that those guys think about.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think we think about that as much, but and then is it a snapping yo-yo technique, for the day? Because in the mornings, those guys were doing a lot of yo-yo and ripping it out and then letting it fall down. And they were catching a lot of fish that way, especially when those fish were really lethargic first thing in the morning. Or you saw those guys slow reeling the tips of that real sparse grass that was out there in 4 to 7 foot of water, more towards the 7 feet. They were just ticking that grass real slow. And that was a key thing. When they felt like they were in the grass too deep and they couldn't get the trap through it, they didn't get bites. But when they were out more on the outside edge where they could get the trap through that a little better and just feel like they're ticking the top of it, the sparser stuff out there, that's when they were getting bit a good bit. So,
what always concerns you a little bit, like when you're in a tournament like they're in this week, and let's say you did real well today, or let's say you didn't. As this week progresses, things are going to change a little bit. And these fish might set up different. They might be like, if they're in the sparse grass now, they might be in the thicker stuff, or vice versa. You almost have to stay ahead of that. And George, and that's what separates those guys that are going to stay ahead of what those fish are doing, and the guys that are like, oh man, I was on them the first day and now I'm blanking.
Yeah, you're going to see the situation happen with multiple anglers where the chatterbait becomes the bait for them. They had caught them today on a lipless. Now, there were some anglers that caught their fish on a chatterbait, and I might be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure the tournament leader, Corey Johnston, caught his fish on a chatterbait. But I was watching his water. He seemed to be up in the grass on a big-ass flat. And he even remarked that he had gone to a lighter weight that he could keep in the tops of the grass. And he also remarked that he went to a green pumpkin. And after doing that, he had caught like 5 or 6 fish really quick. They weren't helping him, but they were reinforcing his move. And what I was going to say earlier about the sound of the trap, like you're like, do I just roll the dice? And if this comes up, throw that. Yeah, you can do that to start, but pay attention to the missed strikes. Because one thing that happens a lot with a trap, is you miss a lot of fish. If you're yo-yoing it, you'll pick it up, and you'll either feel or don't feel a fish that's there or not there. Was there and left, or is there, and you missed them. A lot of times, when that repeats itself, especially the misses, the ones that feel like a push, like you're slacking your line, that is an excellent clue to change your bait.
Yeah, color and sound.
Yeah, well, I mean, you gotta change something, and then go from there. If you're getting bit and you're putting fish in the boat, you're throwing the right stuff. Now, keep in mind that may change. Might get sunny, might warm up. Your fish might leave you. They will move into that grass, and that chatterbait will rule. And you'll catch a couple fish on that chatterbait, and you'll be all in on that program. Early season like this, again, it's all about that retrieve. Are you slow rolling it across the top of the grass? Are you popping it out of the grass? Are you yo-yoing that chatterbait?
And it's really good to understand your baits. You have certain baits that are that are kind of built for speed, and there's certain baits that are kind of built for that real nice nose down, better yo-yoers than other rattle traps. And then there's baits that you can slow down with, that kind of rise on the pool, and understanding your baits is important. Understanding what a rattle trap brand does, understanding what a Strike King brand does, understanding what a Jackal does.
Some of them flutter down.
Yeah, some of them flutter different. Understanding what their Ruku shad does, and being able to kind of change up. I fished with Greg, and when he's around grass, certain times, he whooping my butt, and I was like, what's going on here? And he's fishing a bait that he can reel a little slower, and that that I find is the Strike King. It kind of rides up a little bit, it pulls more in the water, pulls harder in the water, kind of holds up a little bit. You can slow that bait down a little bit, and it doesn't grab as much grass. And whereas I think the Rattle Trap brand, the original Rattle Trap brand, is the one you can rip. You can just smoke that thing, especially when the water warms into the 50s and you're trying to get a reaction out of speed. That's the one I like for that. And then the Ruku is probably your most versatile, I think, for speed, or for controlling depth. And then the yo-yo, I think the Ruku is really good for that.
Well, you guys have a lot of experience with trap baits, and fishing the early season, as that early season moves up to us. Do you remember a day or an example of what you were fishing and where you were fishing and what retrieve you used to have a successful day?
George and I,
lots of them.
George and I fished in the winter one time, and literally the water temperature was what these guys are fishing, 38, but it was going in the other direction. So it really made it even tougher. And the only way we could get bit was ripping rattle traps. And we were using the Ruku and the Jackal, and it was a yo-yoing technique in 38-degree water temperature on the going down.
And they slammed it.
And they absolutely smoked it. You couldn't get bait on a Ned rig, couldn't get bait on a 4-inch swing impact high tech, which is my jam.
And you couldn't scope them.
You couldn't scope them. You had to throw that thing out, let it fall to the bottom, let it fall, and also, they would absolutely smoke that thing. But that's the only way we could get bit. So that was like really in our face,
Well, another bite that we had that was very memorable and a learning experience years ago, fishing a tournament on the Potomac in a typical spring Potomac parking lot crowd. If you've never been to the Potomac, just picture, a big giant grass bed that's full of fish with about 60 of your best friends having their boats over. And you need to adapt to that. All the fish are eating; they're eating big time. And the only thing that I could do that day, and it was deadly, was downsize. And I went to a 1/4 ounce trap, which I could keep in the top of the grass. The water was 5 to 6 feet deep. The grass was very mature, clean milfoil. I was way offshore from the crowd. I came running up the river from a failed morning and had like 2 hours before weigh-in, an hour and a half, 2 hours. I pulled in, I stayed way out and got bit quickly on a 1/4 ounce trap. Now, the reason I put a 1/4 ounce trap on had nothing to do with triggering the bite. It had to do with being able to fish above the grass. Turns out that 1/4 ounce trap triggered the bite. The modification, because they were all big fish, was a 4 hook on the belly and a 6 hook on the tail, or else they tangled. So I upsized the belly hook and I downsized the tail hook. Actually, I think the tail hook stayed the same. And then they didn't tangle, and I was sticking those fish. So that was memorable. And then another one that was very memorable, Mike discovered this, and this was beautiful. This was a fall stingy. You know how the fall gets stingy? We always talk about September. And we talk about it a lot because we do 4 shows in September, and we struggle
Yeah.
but we have cures. We have developed cures. Well, one thing that we learned that has happened, and the time it happened, it was blatant. The one knocker in a natural clear water bait fish color. And it had to be a one knocker. I mean, it was all, and since then, that has proven itself
Yeah.
time and time again.
Yeah. That's when we,
That was a jackal.
yeah, that was right in your face, right in your face knocker. No, nobody else could
Real natural.
They couldn't get it.
It was a real natural, like ghosty.
Yeah.
And those fish were choking that thing sideways.
Yeah.
And it happened since that time. It's happened under those less than ideal. The one thing you need for that is wind. You need a pretty good wind.
Now, Nick,
you want some wind to break up that surface.
Nick, a lot of us are coming up on our club season, and it's going to be. We were talking about today. Everybody's pushing the envelope to go earlier and earlier and earlier, which is, in March it's really tough to have good fishing in March. Because it's so, it's really tough. But we all do it. We all have our tournament in March. We go to a local lake, and the water temperature is like 38 degrees in the morning. It warms up to like 42, 43 in the afternoon. The rattle trap for me is a giant player for that tournament. That is when I'm just going to throw it a lot. I'm going to throw it a ton. And, I'll start out in the morning just like these guys were doing, ripping it, yo-yoing, letting it fall, yo-yoing, letting it fall, maybe out a little deeper in the morning, not so close to the bank. But as that sun comes up, I start to move towards the bank, the bank, especially the sunny side of the lake. And it might be 11, 12-ish, 10, 11, 12-ish, like that, where I feel like the fish are starting to move up on that, coming up out of that water. And then I just start slow cranking a rattle trap. I mean, I'm throwing the red, I'm throwing the yellow, the red with the yellow, and then I'm throwing some kind of shad pattern, whatever it is, until I dial in. And I'm not kidding you. I have 3 rods rigged up with them. Yes, I have a chatterbait. Yes, I have a jerkbait. And I rely on all of them.
Your main player.
And well, I mean, I like it because I can cover a ton of water, and just, most of our lakes around here are little lakes. So we can fish a lot of the lake just by fishing, all day long. But I'll concentrate on the proper areas and go back and forth on them, and I'll try different stuff. And there's days where, the jerkbait is the bait of choice. There's days where the chatterbait is a day of choice, but that rattle trap is a big time player. But I'll work through those techniques, those yo-yo and and it doesn't have to be a rip. It can just be just a swim up and a fall, It could be a brrr and a stiff line fall. It could be, that rip, or it could be just a little swim up and down, depending on the day. But I'll go through all of that in a day's period of time, and I will catch fish. I will guaranteed will catch fish, even if it was nice day, a couple days before, and it was nice, and all of a sudden the day of my tournament there's a crappy thing going on. I'm going to throw the trap. I'm going to make those fish bite, because that's what the rattle trap does. That's what the rattling crankbait does. It triggers fish that don't really want to eat into eating, or at least taking a swipe at it.
So for you guys, obviously in this tournament, they're keying in on vegetation, a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
But you're saying you don't need to have that.
Well, there's a lot of places that don't have it. Yeah, there's a lot of places that don't have grass, or very, very little of it, that it's not even really a player. A lot of our reservoirs that we have around here, there's no grass in it. It's rock and wood. That's what it is, rock and wood. And you're playing more depth game than you are anything in a heat game. When the heat hits on that rock on the banks, that's when you move to that. So, but yeah, I mean, I'd rather fish the grass.
If you had it.
If you had it, I'd rather concentrate around the grass, and because you have all those, it attracts everything to it, so. But I'm just saying, all I'm saying for guys on here, because this is the Rattle Trap show, is it's not too early to throw it. Ice out. It's not too early to throw it because it's honestly a bait that triggers bites, even when fish don't want to eat. Period.
I say it different.
And that's why the guys are throwing it. When the fish don't want to eat, they will eat a trap because it triggers that bite.
Yeah, that's how I say it. I mean, I don't think there is a better way to fish in March than a trap. I just don't think there's anything better than that because you're triggering fish. You know, you're not going to finesse them. Good luck with that. You know, and not only that, you can just saturate an area and you can just keep moving.
Yeah.
Until you run into that little window, you know, which might be a little pot of fish, and you boom, boom, boom. And then you just keep going and keep going. You're not fishing slow. You're not fishing fast, but you're not fishing slow.
Yeah.
And the bait has drawing power. You know, you just have to keep the guidelines in mind. Now, one of the things that's really important to talk about with trapping, I mean, we talked about color, we talked about size, we talked about different sounds.
Yep.
One of the things that's really important is tackle.
Very important.
And, you know, I've gone like round and round with it. You know, I've spent a considerable amount of time in the cold water period with a glass rod. You know, which is fine if you're not having to rip out of the grass. If you're fishing above it, if you're fishing where you're just ripping a little bit, if you're fishing more open water, it's a great setup. I've tried the moderate tapered graphite rods, which are kind of designed to do like that, and they're great too. They have a little more pop to them. I tend to go to a medium heavy or a heavy, moderate taper, you know, which would be like, depending on your brand, like a 4 or 5 power. What I settled in on is a standard, fast tapered, medium powered rod. Like just, and I'll even go to a medium heavy. But like, you know, anywhere from a 7 to a 7.2, 7.3, fast taper, medium to medium heavy, whatever your favorite brand is. If you like it, I'm great with it. And, you know, one thing that I do a lot when I'm yo-yoing, and I mean a lot when I'm fishing cold water, whether I'm yo-yoing or slow rolling, I fish 10-pound line a lot.
Really?
Now, if I get around the grass, then I up it immediately to 15. But if it's more of an open water environment, I'm telling you, I get a lot of bites on that 10. And, you know, one thing I've learned about good 10 fluorocarbon, it's got game. I can tell you this, in the last several years, at least the last 2 winters, doing a lot of yo-yo and slow winding traps. That's pretty much what I do. I have never broken off a fish on 10. Never.
To get back to the rods, Nick, you know, if you can, in open water and not the thick grass and that cold winter stuff, I'm glass 100%. You know, I really feel like you really need that because you hook these fish because they don't really want it. You're hooking them weird. You're hooking them on the outside of the mouth. You're hooking them, you know, on just the lip, the last outside hook on the lip. And not only that, you're snagging them. You know, you get them in the back, they swipe at it. You get them in the tail, you get them in the back, you get them in the shoulder, and you just don't want to overpower. And the glass rod will land those fish, which brings me to the second point is, and George will touch on this big time, is super sharp hooks. Your super sharp hooks right now are more important than anything ever. Is the fish's mouth harder in the wintertime now? The fish's mouth is harder. Not only that, but they're going to get them to swipe, and a sharp hook will, you know, when they swipe at it, you snag them in the top of the head, you'll get them in. You know, you'll get that fish in the top of the head or in the back or wherever because that hook is sharp and it gets underneath that little scale and it holds on and digs in nice, So
last year I rigged a few baits up with the BKK. They call it an ultralight treble. They made it for jerk baits. It's not like, I'll tell you, it's when it's wintertime and you're touchy feely trapping, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I got a couple other things that we need to talk about that are under the category of fascinating and interesting. So I think we're going to wrap this up. Excellent conversation on winter, cold weather. And I think you couldn't get a better classroom than we had today.
Yeah.
You couldn't get a better classroom.
Hey, George, one more thing that we've seen today, and you brought this up when we were talking before the show, is at a certain time of day, how you seen the tracker just going off like fireworks.
The guys on the late flight today were whacking them and stacking them. The 2 o'clock, 2:10, 2:11, 2:13, 2:15. I mean, it was just popping. They were just catching them left and right. And, it had warmed up. You saw
that was a good point though, too. A lot of those guys said they caught them in those spots. They caught them in the areas they knew there was fish and they kind of waited the fish out. And that's a big thing too in this time of year. If you know the fish are there,
stick around,
man, or come back often, like very often, like, that sunny side bank. That's a really good bank, back and forth on it. It might be 150 yards. That back and forth all day long, that might not be a bad thing, so.
That was good stuff.
Pretty cool.
So, getting off of that topic, I have got something here that is just mind-blowing. And it was a tournament out in Clear Lake. Now, a couple weeks ago, I don't know if it was last week or if it was the week before. Might have been the week. Yeah, the week before that. So 3 weeks ago, first week of January, it was. There was a tournament on Clear Lake that had just amazing numbers. Okay.
Yeah.
Nah, nothing like this. So this is the best bass circuit. And first place was 45-16. These are 5 fish limits.
Where's this?
Clear Lake.
Oh my God.
With a 13-7 kicker.
Gosh.
Second place was 42.2 with a 10.95. Now, here's me and Mike driving back to the ramp with 42. We're like freaking just.
Yeah. Yeah, baby. High-fiving. Woo! High-fiving. We got this, man.
Well, wait, what?
Let's leave early. Let's get back here and make sure we get back here.
What the? Third place was 37.95 with an 11.06. Here's the cool thing. 30-pound sacks went down to 6th place.
Wow.
So
that Clear Lake is amazing.
That just goes under the file of really cool.
I'm just thinking about putting all them fish in your live well. 45 pounds worth.
Yeah, what do you do with them?
Well, you got most boats have 2 live wells.
Yeah, I know, but man, that's like how can he even survive? You need double aerators.
Yeah, so you guys have 42 pounds. You come back 10 o'clock in the morning, pull a Timmy Horton.
Yeah.
You got pizza coming and everything.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you lost the tournament.
Yeah, you lost. You lose.
That's exactly it, Nick. You're Timmy Horton back at the boat ramp eating egg sandwiches and hanging out, and oh man. And this guy comes in and kicks your ass with a 43-pound bag. It's like, what?
Unbelievable. Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
So other noteworthy thing that caught my mind that I jotted down in my little book here is the Champions Championship. So this guy from Texas, made a bunch of money in his career and finally is retired now. And he's like, I got this idea. I want to invite the top 25 from the elites at the end of the year, and I want to invite the top 25 from the Bass Pro Tour at the end of the year, and I want to put a tournament on. I'm going to fund it myself. I'm budgeting $12 million for this event. and first place gets 1.25.
Yeah.
I got the payout covered, boys. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I'm just taking 12 out of the box, and we're going to go to work. Second place is 500K. Third place is 300K.
Gosh.
Fifth place is 100K. Now, these tour events, first place is 100K. Okay. That's 1 point. The other point is we got $100,000 buddy tournaments with no entry fee.
Yeah.
And there's more. There's more guys that are coming out and putting up these big ass payouts for these tournaments. And the tours are like not coming close to them.
So
Not even close.
How is this happening? Because the tours have all these sponsors.
Well, the way
all
this is
stuff.
happening is this guy's got a big old
He
stack,
just got the money.
and he's like,
Did you find that out for sure? That's what he's doing?
yeah, he's taking $12 million of his money.
His money.
Everybody that qualifies, he's giving them $3,000 spending money for the week.
But here's the thing.
And he's giving them a room to stay in. They're going to party like it's 1999. And
That's crazy.
the only problem is it's on Old Hickory Lake in Henderson, Tennessee,
Yeah.
which is in September
No good.
or October.
That's rough.
That's October to 28th. Well, it is the end of October. They might get a few.
Hey, I heard buddy tournament free 100,000, and I just see Mike and George taking the old Skeeter, and
I don't trust it.
I don't trust it.
I don't trust it. Yeah, so it's called the Champions Championship, and this guy is
Pretty awesome.
This guy's freaking cool. They're going to broadcast this thing, live broadcast it. They're having a show. It's a week long. They're
Yeah.
having an outdoor show.
In a 300,000 square foot building.
Yeah, and it's in Tennessee. I mean, I'm
Nashville.
thinking.
Nashville.
I'm thinking.
I told George we're going for the show.
I'm thinking road trip, baby.
Yeah, we're going to go down.
I know we can find something interesting.
Oh,
to do.
everybody who's everybody. If you're the top 25 in each one, I mean, they're the best in the world. And each, it's going to be it's going to come down. Well, plus he's bringing in people from other countries. He said about, these other
companies.
Countries.
He's bringing sponsors in and he's opening it up to other countries. These are the top 25 from the elites and the top 25. They could be from another country.
Yeah, I thought he said something about other country, the top
For
people in other countries too.
Nope.
Well, I tell you.
Hey, you know what? When you pull $12 million out of the bank, you can have it any way you want. And this guy is cool as the other side of the pillow. And I love him.
He is.
I can't wait.
He is. It's a great interview.
And we're going to Nashville, baby.
I like it.
We're going to broadcast live from the Champions Championship in Nashville.
The other cool thing there, George, is he's doing a sneaky approach to challenging these different.
No, he's not. You know what he said? They're like, well, what's up with all these big payouts and $100,000 this? He said, I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty busy with what I'm doing. I don't know what anybody else is doing. He's not challenging shit.
Well, no, that's not what I was coming from. I'm talking about it's a sneaky way, cool, to challenge who's the best angler.
Oh yeah. That's his whole model.
I like that.
He said the whole model is like, well, hell, we got this Bass Pro Tour and we got these elites, and they're the best.
Who's the best?
But who's the best this year? So he said,
go do it every year.
Hold my beer.
Now, with that being said, though, if you're the elites or the Bass Pro Tour, it's going to help you or hurt you one way or the other. Because
why?
Well, because if Bass Masters, which we've always claimed to be the best, lose that event, let's say top 5 or Bass Pro Tour, that's a black eye.
Well, I mean, listen,
it's going to be interesting.
Listen, when we have the here's our trail. Okay, here's the trail we fish. This is bigger than anything. Okay. This is the Susquehanna Rivertarian Team Trail. And I don't know about this championship and millions of stuff, but that is the shit on a Sunday on a river. And
That's our champion.
that's a Bubba scale throwdown. And let me tell you something.
It's bragging rights like you
It
wouldn't
is
believe.
bragging rights. So I mean, you know.
So yes,
if you're
to answer your question, Nick,
yeah,
yes, there's going to be some
feelings will be hurt.
Big time bragging rights in this event.
You know, because I mean, I remember one of our Rivertarian trails where we went to somebody's home pond, and
didn't go well.
They turned in a last place finish.
Didn't go well.
And you know, so we then went to their house to remind them about it. And I can see that happening here.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll happily watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And you know what? Who doesn't like some good trash talk?
Oh, we love it.
All right, guys. I got 2 more tiny tidbits, and then we are out. Out. We had a great show tonight. We did a really cool rattle trap, chatterbait kind of freestyle discussion. You know, we broke down the day 1 of this tournament, which we will be glued to the set. We just discussed this craziness that's going on in Clear Lake. I swear to God, Ish Monroe is feeding the fish out there. He's got planes flying over with like thousands of pounds of shiners and just seeding the lake so that he can sell more chatterbaits. Rig of the week was cool. Tackle talk was cool, but here's something I really like. If you have lithium batteries in your boat and you're fishing the Elite Series tournament in Scottsboro, Alabama, I'll bet you couldn't go to a Walmart within 100 miles of Scottsboro right now and buy an electric blanket, because all these pros bought all the electric blankets to wrap around their lithiums, because you can't charge them lithiums cold. You will hurt them big time unless you have a battery with a heater in it, like some of the Dakotas and some of the Norsks. You know, they have heaters built into them. But the rest of the guys, they went out and bought all of the
heated blankets,
electric blankets. They wrapped them around their batteries,
heated them up,
turned them on, and heated the batteries up before they charged them. Now, I would love to go there and see like a Dora the Explorer electric blanket hanging out the back of like Chris Johnston's boat. You know what I mean? That would be so cool.
Yeah.
So that was cool. The other thing is, we're big time Z-Man guys here. We love Z-Man. We are all about Z-Man. Stay tuned this April. We're going to be doing an on the water with Z-Man. We're not going to really be able to show you all the baits, but we're going to push that envelope. But they're coming up to fish for a couple days, and we're going to see what's up. That's how much we love Z-Man. So check this out. Spencer Sheffield is now full line Z-Man sponsored pro.
Nice.
And he's already been a Z-Man guy.
Yeah.
But here's the one, boys. And that Spencer Sheffield is a fish catching machine.
Yeah.
It's in the blood in that Sheffield family.
Yeah.
Here's the one, boys. Patrick Waters is on the Z-Man chatterbait team.
Wow.
They put him on to fish chatterbaits.
He's great.
Because he's a chatterbait chunking machine.
How'd he do today?
I didn't pay attention.
I didn't either.
I didn't really.
I don't think he did real well.
I think he's mid-pack.
Mid-pack, yeah.
Mid-pack's good.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
Mid-pack's good. Day 1 of a tough tournament, I don't care where you're at. These guys with these big sacks can end up with 6 tomorrow, and a 6-pound guy from today can end up with 25 tomorrow. So tomorrow is much see TV. Must see TV.
Yeah.
Try saying that real quick.
Well, you know how tough it is. I mean, there were some guys that didn't do well. Our boy GDP didn't do well. I mean, that's wintertime fishing. If you're not around fish, you're not around fish.
Feast or famine.
And yeah, there was a lot of guys that brought in a lot of fish today. But I'm telling you, man, it's real easy to do. And we got a lot of people are, well, how did he do? What happened to him? What happened? He didn't get around fish. I mean, he just didn't get around fish. And the 70-mile long lake, there are a lot of places on that lake there ain't no fish. And you know, it was one of them tournaments. So,
Well, tournament ain't over.
Tomorrow you can get on the mother load.
well, he can come in with 25 tomorrow and be right back up in the top 50.
Or the top 10.
Yeah, you just don't know. So, no, I don't think he's going to make top 10 with that. But
No.
with 25 pounds?
Yeah, I don't know. 25 plus whatever he had today ain't
6.
25.
6.
Seems like 31.
Yeah. Never going to happen.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be watching.
Oh, absolutely. We all are. We're
Can't
all
wait.
are.
Can't wait.
We're all going to do it. But it's so easy for that to happen. And that's wintertime fishing. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much for making this the biggest show ever today. You know, out of all of our shows, this was our biggest ever. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing and telling your friends about us. Keep doing that. Keep making us, you know, making these shows get bigger and bigger, and we'll bring you some better and better stuff. I promise you. We'll keep bringing all the goods to you.
Bringing the heat.
And yeah, absolutely. And for Nick and George and I, thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next Tackle Shop Live.
Sunny day, right there you took my breath away. Young and pretty, was it just a dream? The next day you called me up, you told me I'm your little buttercup. You came over and you fell into my arms. Well, I know what I feel. Please tell me your love is real. You make me